Hello, and welcome to Necessities of Life. In this series, we examine the classic games of yesteryear, trying to understand what made them so awesome and how they influenced the evolution of gaming today. Today's necessity of life is Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Super Mario Bros. Is one of the most important parts of gaming history. Not only did it make gaming accessible to a huge audience, with over 40 million copies of the game being sold worldwide, it also acted as the adrenaline shot that the long-suffering gaming industry needed to recover from the Atari-born slump of the early 80s. But what exactly makes it a necessity of life? The gameplay is simple enough. You run around smashing baddies and collecting power-ups in hopes of rescuing the princess from Bowser Koopa. Through careful design, even novice users were able to quickly understand the world they were engaging with. The evil eyebrows on the Goombas are a clear hint to the user that they are evil and meant to be avoided, or, if possible, destroyed. The shining question mark on the gold boxes invites users to try to figure out what's inside them. Killer plants emerging from pipes naturally beg the question, what's down those pipes? All these elements ease the user into the world and suggest a complex gaming ecosystem buried beneath the surface. This manifests as what humans refer to as fun. There are two very important ingredients that made the game so accessible and desired by audiences. The first is the fluidity of gameplay and the tightness of controls. Early games like Breakout, Asteroids, and Pac-Man have a sort of board game feel to them, as if you're manipulating very limited variables on a very fixed plane. Even classic action games like Pitfall have a very segmented feel to them. Mario was able to overcome that through a combination of smooth side-scrolling and environments that were logistically connected as you moved between them. Go down a pipe and you're underground or underwater. Go up a vine and you're in the clouds. Later entries in the series allowed for vertical scrolling and eventually diagonal scrolling. But even in this primitive state, Super Mario Bros. Gave the user the feeling that Mario was moving through a logical world to a clear goal. The second important ingredient is the world and logic on which the game is based. Almost 30 years later, the vocabulary introduced by Super Mario Bros. Is such a common part of gaming lexicon that we take it for granted. But a quick review of the game rules reveals that it is truly bizarre, operating mostly on dream logic. Let's just describe the world of the game as if it were a dream. So, I was running around this world and there were these mushrooms, but they weren't really mushrooms, they were sort of evil mushrooms. But there were also good mushrooms, and when I ate them, I became super huge, like twice as big as the evil mushrooms, and I was better at fighting the evil mushrooms, and I think I was supposed to fight the evil mushrooms, but I'm not sure. And then I ate a flower, and I could spit fire everywhere, and there was this star bouncing around that made me really, really powerful, but not for a long time. And then, at the end, there was a giant turtle, but he wasn't really a giant turtle, he was actually a small turtle wearing a giant turtle disguise. So I shot him with fireballs, and then he fell into some lava, and I saved a person that was also a mushroom. Recounted word for word, the game makes almost no sense. It's confusing at first glance, but once patterns emerge, it becomes clear that the game operates without randomness. Behind the initially bizarre imagery is evidence that you're in the hands of very talented, kind, and playful storytellers. And the game is playful. Not only is there slapstick and ridicule programmed into the story elements, the world encourages the user to become a victim of their own folly. How many thousands of lives have been lost ironically in pursuit of a one-up? How many Marios have fallen assuming their trajectory was a true and reliable one? This playfulness also manifests in subverting user expectations of established rules. For example, if you make it to this cavern as Super or Fire Mario, you'll find one brick inaccessible on account of your size. After the abundance of secret bonuses thus far, the user will inevitably feel as if they are being punished for not being Flea Mario. Whatever it is, must be special by virtue of the fact that you can't get it if you're big. Here's another perfect example of the game mocking the user. The staircase looks to be the end of the level, but there's a brick floating right after it, something that has never happened before. If it is the end of the level, then the ideal location would be at the top of the stairs to get maximum points from the flag. However, the box might contain something more valuable than points, an extra life, or a bunch of coins. But if it's just normal bricks, then busting it will destroy access to the top of the stairs, which is where you want to be at the end of the level, assuming this is the end of the level. In short, the game is intentionally messing with your head. And this brings us to the sweetness. This room is distilled Mario sweetness. If you run through this area, you can reach the end pipe with minimal trouble. However, if you stop to explore a bit, you will find some secret coins that give you access to the ceiling, which will let you barrel through the level unchallenged and even drops you at a warp pipe to level 5. Look at you go, patting yourself on the back, you're so smart. Congratulations, doofus, the game played you. A bit more focus in your exploration will reveal a vine that leads to a coin garden and a direct warp to the final world of the game. This configuration is a perfect example of how the game not only encourages you to explore, but also punishes you if you become cocky. Super Mario Bros. Is one of the early examples of a very complex dialogue occurring between the game and the user. A constant back and forth of one-upsmanship that justifiably engaged and excited a massive user base. That being said, the game is not without its weakness. The math that governs the Hammer Brothers is needlessly punishing. If you're Fire Mario, you should be fine. But if you're Super Mario, you will likely come out the other side of this battle as Flea Mario. If you're already Flea, the best you can hope for is a mad dash that doesn't kill you. Very frustrating. Life lessons. The first life lesson learned from this game is that mushrooms are a fickle breed. Make sure you know what you're doing when interacting with mushrooms. The second life lesson is the 3 E's of exploration. Exploring, exploring, exploring. And the third life lesson from Super Mario Bros. Is that mushroom retainers are perhaps incredibly kinky. The princess was kidnapped. The other 7 prisoners are there, presumably because they love hanging out in Koopa's dungeon. Kinky. Thank you kindly for watching this installment of Necessities of Life.